Welcome to the Clean Power Hour Live. I'm Tim Montague, your host. Today is, it's August 31st. The end of the summer is almost here. RE Plus is 9 days away. We're so excited to be going to Vegas. And I want to welcome my regular co-host, commercial solar guy, John Weaver. Welcome to the show, John.
Hey Tim, it is the 31st. It's the end of the summer, and it's going by much faster, always than I expected. And now I'm so busy, I don't know how to think straight. So I don't know how you guys do it either, Chris or Tim. So
And we have a special guest. Chris Lettman is here. Welcome, Chris Lettman.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So we're going to geek out on what's going on at RE Plus in Vegas. This is the biggest solar and storage show in North America. There'll be over 30,000 energy professionals converging on this weird city of Las Vegas. I haven't been to Vegas in 20 years, I think, so I'm in for a lot of change. I'm not a gambler, but I'm really excited that I'm going to have a booth. I'm going to be doing a bunch of recording. And so stop by 2269 on Sands Level 2 if you listen to this before September the 12th. That's when the trade show is going to open, September 12th to 14th. And it's probably not too late to get tickets. So if you haven't gotten tickets yet, look up RE Plus. And, I just dial in RE 2023 because the plus symbol is not always easy to find, especially on a phone. But and we're going to talk about my article about Erthos Solar, which is very controversial. And I have to admit that when I think about covering the Earth with solar panels, just covering it, I do have some ambivalence. But after really diving in with Jim Tyler, who's the CEO, and he's an OG in the industry, he has amazing credibility. I'm beginning to warm up to the concept. So they're having a happy hour, by the way, at their booth on, I believe, Tuesday on the 12th. So we'll be in the booth. We'll be in the Earthos booth for the happy hour, but mostly hunker down in 2269 Sands Level 2. What are you guys looking forward to about RE?
All kinds of stuff. John, you go first.
sanity, calming down a little bit, because once you get there, you don't have to plan and go crazy in order to make it work. But it's for commercial solar guy. It's about meeting companies and shaking hands and learning the product that's out there. Writing for PV Mag, it's so hard to meet all the people I want to meet because I want to meet everybody. I want to meet everybody that makes something. And one of the best things I like to do is literally just to walk around with my camera and take pictures of cool stuff and then write an article on it for PV Mag for on the floor from the show. So I try to write like one for each day, and one's on modules, one's on inverters, one's on everything else, and we'll see what I do this year. But I just like walking the floor and seeing gear and listening to the salespeople tell me specs and stuff, because there's so much cool hardware out there. Plus, I will say this, free beers in the evenings from all kinds of people is always great, and someone always buys me a steak. So it's like food and beer is infinite at these conferences. It's great.
John, you had me at beer, so.
Yeah. So it's your turn now.
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of new technologies out there that are launching. I've been reading trade press all week, as I do every week, and seeing a lot of new companies coming into play, a lot of startup manufacturing here in the U.S. market, which is exciting to see. One company I just read a couple days ago, and Bila Solar opening up a plant, I believe, in Indiana, and they have an interesting approach. And Tim, you mentioned earlier with Earthos about some hesitation or some ambivalence towards their technology. I've been reading a lot about Bila, and they too have a really interesting solution, but they also have some some pushback and also some concerns out there in the market. So it's going to be interesting to see. They have a booth. They have a booth in Vegas, and so it's going to be interesting to see what they have to say about their solution and the applications and everything. And there's a few other ones out there too. Mostly on the panel side, I've been focusing a lot of my attention on panels lately.
Yeah, let's talk a
But
little more about
yeah,
Bila because I do think that's a pretty big announcement. First
It's
of
a
all, any solar panel manufacturing facility in the Midwest is a big deal. But
sure.
these guys are doing form of thin film, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Is it not
no glass. Basically a
plastic, right?
polymer type frame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So reduce the weight loads up on the rooftops and everything. Obviously, make it easy for the installers on the residential side. So it'll be interesting how they roll that out.
And how do you spell Bila?
Bila.
Okay, gotcha. But so is this like a stick-on or what is the application?
Yeah, from what I read, it looks like a traditional PV module, similar dimensions as your 395 400-watt module. The difference, or the main difference, is a polymer frame and there's no glass. So there's from what I read, there's some concerns about the back sheet, being exposed to moisture, without being a double glass type seal, and then of course on the cells, and on the front end of the module too. So it's going to be interesting how they roll it out, how they present that. I think they're going to be faced with the same challenges that Earthos is faced with, and that's just getting general acceptance, for the commercialization of their product. But I
Yeah.
think it has definitely presents a really good solution to modules right now. So it'll
So
be interesting how it plays out.
Ann Fisher did a little story on them. Ann
Yeah, that's the one I read. Yep.
is the senior editor at PB Magazine, John's boss, and and I stand corrected. They're doing monocrystalline, so typical or standard crystalline technology, 182 millimeter half cell, 144 cell module. So it's a commercial, size solar module and just very lightweight. 17 pounds. That's less than a third of a standard commercial solar module, which is pretty cool, I have to say, because there are many times when the mechanical load of a traditional ballasted array is going to be too much for the mechanical design of the roof. But
Yeah.
and this is a company though that is already operating in Singapore. It sounds
Singapore.
like.
Yeah, Singapore.
Cool. Expected to employ 240 people, renovating an existing 150,000 square foot facility near Indianapolis, I believe, right? And so that will be a factory that I will have to do a tour of. If you're with Bila, please reach out to us. We would love to see you at RE and check you out in Indiana. Very cool.
Nice. I saw when I saw their advertisement initially. It's funny. I saw the advertisement. I thought they were making glass, and it's exactly the opposite. They're not making glass.
Right.
They're making panels without glass. And so it's funny that when you said this, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be something with glass, but it's apparently not, which is interesting and new. There's a few people who are doing this, lighter modules, and Merlin is one of them. They're an existing company. They use a straight poly product. There's a European company who's doing this. So there's different ideas about this and to do it. And so it's not a perfectly new idea, but it's not an idea that's out there. And so, like you said, it's, is the market going to be interested in the product? How long have they been around? Is, that type of stuff. 17 PSF versus 15 PSF over the same square footage. That's going to get a lot of stuff under 5 PSF for a project. Maybe it'll get it down under 3 easily, which are good numbers for a commercial rooftop. So I just still, of course, like seeing new manufacturers. We like new manufacturers of solar stuff in the US. So that's kind of cool.
Another one I'm going to check out too, really quick, is Soliari, Solvari. They're a frameless residential solution PV module, and they have an interesting product out there. And I actually met them at a show a couple of months ago, I think back in May in Austin, Texas. Great group of guys out there trying to solve the same kind of problem, lighten up that PSF on the rooftop. So they've got an interesting solution there too. So if you're interested in modules, if you want to see new technology, different applications, check them out too as well.
Solvari.
Yeah,
Okay.
Soliari. Yep.
Yeah. I see their ads around. I'm going to put their website on screen here. They're unique because they offer this kind of all-in-one, right? They package the module with a racking system,
Right.
with a microinverter and wiring, and so it's just like soup to nuts, ready to install. And their argument is you're going to get a cheaper install.
Yeah.
Now, is that true? I don't know, right? It depends on how much the modules cost.
Yeah, that's the value proposition that they're presenting.
Yeah. What do you think about that concept in general, though? Do installers like this when there's well, I should get it on screen here, but when when you've got this package, so to speak, that's all in one, is that compelling, or is it too outside the box?
Yeah, there you go. That's a nice shot right there.
Wow.
Yeah. You see, it's like the mounting feet already attached to the modules.
Right.
What I don't understand is that seems somewhat inefficient. If every module has the feet, you'd think you could share a foot between modules, kind of a thing. But so
right. Your middle rows and everything.
It strikes me as potentially more penetrations of they seem to be targeting residential here, but I don't know.
I don't know. If you look at the edge of that, if you look at that lower left corner here, change back to that original image there. If they stick out, like you can see like an inch, they stick out. I wonder if there's a way for them to connect for the unit that's right next to it, because it does.
Yeah.
So it says 4 times faster. That's a big claim, boys.
Yeah.
That is a big claim. But we're all into lowering the cost of solar, so look forward to learning more about Soliari. Good find.
That's cool.
Well, let's talk about Earthos. I can't contain my excitement about this company because John and I have talked about them periodically, and we came close to doing an interview with them, I think back in 2019, but then they got wrapped up in fundraising. But anyway, I got to talk to Jim Tyler on 2 occasions, and we published our full interview with him. So just go to CleanPowerHour.com and you'll see links to the video and the audio there. But here's their website, and they've got a nice little video.
If the solar panels were free, how would you build the solar?
I can mute that. There we go. There's Jim Tyler, and you'll see here that it truly is a rackless system. Okay, putting the modules flat on the ground like this, and then running a 1/8 inch cable through them both directions. And so it's effectively a mesh or a skin. That's the expression I use in my article in PV Magazine. But 35 tons less steel per megawatt. There you see the cable that they roll out. They have a concrete curb surrounding the array, which prevents erosion from happening underneath the modules. Okay. And, Jim admits 2 big concerns. Temperature, module temperature does get higher when they're flat on the ground because there's not air movement underneath to cool them off. But after testing, they found that the modules perform just fine and don't get too hot. And then water, which, when you get a couple of inches of rain, that could submerge the array. And he's like, well, guess what? Solar modules are waterproof, and it's not going to be a deal killer for them to get periodically flooded. And he claims that's true of the balance of system as well. Now, I think it depends on who you talk to, but
yeah,
they have ample ample white papers. They have a great library of white papers, and they've now got some pilot projects that are installed and 200 megawatts under contract. Most notably, I think, with Pine Gate Renewables and a company called Industrial Sun. And there's a 100 megawatt project now under development in Texas. So
there was a solar project that was flooded in Ukraine after a dam was destroyed and the waters were released. And the facility, 3/4 ran, 1/4 didn't. The solar panels themselves were underwater, but ended up being fine. It was switchgear that was flooded, but still taking energy from the solar panels that were underwater. And it's the switchgear that was damaged because they had a current going through them while water was flowing through them. So some components can take the water, some can't at a site. So I'm sure low level flooding is just fine. The modules can be underwater, but the question is those inverters that are up on that vertical rack. I don't think they can be underwater.
That's
but
true of any solar array, though, right? The inverters
Yeah.
are always going to be put up off the ground, typically chest height at least, so 4 to 5 feet off the ground. If
Yeah.
you've got 4 feet of water on your solar array, you've got bigger problems than
Yeah.
are your solar modules waterproof,
Yeah.
I guess. But
Now, real quick, Tim, have you had a chance to talk to them about their business plan and the structure of it? Because at one point I was under the impression that what they sell are performance guarantees and, just getting the system installed versus say, because they have a racking solution, but it's not racking. You saw it. It's that wire. It's a couple of bars that go across and that edging and then that robot. That's a trivial cost, a dime per watt or something like that. But did you get any feedback from them on like how they make money, what their business plan is? Because I think I've heard it, but I'd love to hear it from you if you've heard it.
To my knowledge, they are pretty much a technology company. That is at their core. They've got, this unique racking system. They call it Flat to Earth Solar. Okay, that's their moniker, Flat to Earth Solar. And then they have a cleaning robot. I don't know if they manufacture the robot or if they're white labeling the robot, but that's also a feature of this. Is it is very nice for the robots. And you do want to run a robot regularly, right? Because when your solar is flat, you're going to collect more dust than if your solar was tilted, in my book. Not that tilted solar doesn't need cleaning as well. They all need cleaning, and especially in the desert Southwest, which is going to be their prime market, I would say. But so they're selling technology, as far as I know. Jim did not say anything other than that. And you see my story in PB Magazine from last week, from last Friday, the 25th. And, one of the cool things about this is they're really focused on, let's bring the cost of solar down, the LCOE, the levelized cost of energy. Jim Tyler argues that once you get below $20 a megawatt hour or 2 cents a kWh, that opens up the door to using solar electricity to generate things like green hydrogen and make cost competitive green hydrogen. And what he's dreaming about is large scale off grid solar power plants paired with hydrogen electrolyzers to make, so you take water and electrolyzer and you make hydrogen, and then you pump the hydrogen with, a pipeline or trucks and use that for all the thermal applications we have for industrial or, whatever, right? You can do many, many things with hydrogen. Now, this is a parallel conversation to the one I've had with Terabase Energy, Matt Campbell. Check that out. We've done 2 episodes with Matt Campbell. He argues that it's 10 cents a megawatt. That's really the ultimate low cost of solar. So, who knows? Only the market will tell. Currently, according to Lazard, we're around $24 per megawatt hour, right? And that's solar on parity with wind in 2023. So yeah, it's just I just think it's great to have an alternative, right? We have trackers that swept the market, and Jim points out trackers made an LCOE improvement of 5%. Yes, you get 10% more energy with a tracker than a fixed tilt, but that translates into 5% of LCOE reduction. There, with Erthos, they're arguing they can get a 20% reduction in LCOE over what trackers get. Now that is a no-brainer, right? Like that's radical.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, I think we're going to see more adoption of this and more experiments, and then we'll see, right? Only time will tell if this actually works. Some people ask me, Tim, aren't the rodents going to crawl under the array and eat the wires? You know, apparently rodents are attracted to DC voltage, and I'm like, well, don't they climb on the trackers too? Those piles aren't rodent proof, I don't think.
How would they get underneath the panel though with that concrete barrier on the perimeter?
That's a good point. And yeah,
mice get everywhere.
Mice
can
they do.
Oh, they'll find a way. They'll find a way.
Very
Yeah.
small holes.
I mean, rodents, they'll come up underneath it. The moles will be drawn.
Yeah, true.
Animals will be drawn to the warmth. Don't question the rodents.
Yeah.
They'll come find you. Yeah.
The rodents will win. Oh,
yes, the rodents will win.
It's interesting that picture or that video stream on the website for Earthos. It looks like it's a some type of orchard, and my guess it's probably in Central California, south, a couple hours of where I'm at. And I know there's a lot of farms up there, a couple farming communities up there, a couple solar good sized names up there that are doing installations for irrigation pumps and also for the operation side of those orchards. So it'll be interesting. I know there's a lot of pollen in the air out there, dust and whatnot. So that robot, that cleaning robot that they also showed, I think would be it's definitely got to be a must-have, to do periodic maintenance.
It is. By the way, first, it is in California. You're correct about that, Chris. The cleaning robot is fundamental to the system. And it's actually not a limitation, but it's a work in progress to a degree when we're talking about snow areas, because we actually reached out to Earthos at one point and we said, hey, we'd like to test your hardware in a site up in New York. We got a nice flat area. Maybe it makes sense. And they looked at our snow load in the area and they said the robot wasn't designed for snow yet. For heavy snow at least, and our region, upstate New York, has heavy snow at least once a year. And since they sell a performance guarantee as part of the sales process, they were unsure as to whether or not they could meet the performance guarantee. So that robot's fundamental, and it doesn't do heavy snow yet. If you would have said light snow, like Virginia snow, or somewhere further
North Carolina
south,
snow,
okay. North Carolina snow, absolutely, but not northern Illinois,
no,
and not northern New York either.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing for Earthos, that deep snow, like upper Midwest, probably not gonna work, because with fixed tilt and trackers, at least the snow will run off faster, and but with flat to earth, boy, yep, gonna take a little while, unless you can get the robot to be a snowplow, which theoretically is conceivable. You can get the bulk of the snow off with a snowplow robot, and
you don't want a big pile of snow on one edge of it, though. That'll harden. You'll be out there with a shovel trying to break it. You
need a little blower, like it blows it
there
a
you
few
go.
feet off.
Yeah.
Hey, Earthos, if you guys are listening, please integrate a blower into your snow robot. We just fixed it. Tim fixed it. You're gonna have to give him a patent revenue, and we have evidence on the show.
Royalties in perpetuity.
Yes. There you go, Tim. We're helping you out.
We should talk about the cost of energy in California. Apparently, it's exploded. According to this guy, John Weaver in PV Magazine, California electricity prices exploded in the last 3 years, far outpacing inflation.
Yes.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, you should show the graph too, because there's actually something really interesting to show there. So this was a research paper done by Energy Toolbase. Energy Toolbase, they do financial modeling software, and so they sent PV Mag a report that they did looking at pricing, and they wanted to look at pricing partially because the people that use their software are developers like me. And in their software, you have to put an energy escalation value. If you don't know what the energy escalation value, you could either A, undersell your customer and not have a proper return on investment, or B, you can oversell and your system won't pay off in the time frame you said. In fact, some residential companies, I think I mentioned it near the end of this article, Vivint may have been it, was sued by the state of New Mexico, possibly, for overestimating the long-term escalation at like 5 to 7%. The issue is that they were doing this in 2008, 2010, 2012, and then fracking hit us, and the price of energy just went flat. So let's look at the chart, the top one right there. And so we have to be careful about how we put the escalator in our documents. And this document helps us understand that. So first, if you look at 2014 through 2020, notice that the rate of inflation here is pretty low. Hey, Chris, you're moving a lot of stuff around. You're being noisy. We're going to mute you. But if you look at that energy inflation price over those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you're going to, and then you compare it to inflation, you'll find that inflation and energy inflation were almost exactly the same. And so effectively, for the energy pricing season of 14 through 20, there was no electricity inflation. And so there it is, that first sentence. The CPI rose by 9.85, while electricity pricing increased by 9.6. In fact, there was a minuscule decrease in the price of electricity in California relative to inflation from the year 2014 through 2020. But now we look at 20 through 23, and the bottom one is commercial. If you scroll up, the top one is residential costs. And of course, during that window, we did have heavy inflation. So if you scroll up to the top, you can see the consumer price index rose by 28%. But if you look at those three utilities, the three major ones, they raised by 47 to 104%. So double to almost 4x inflation if you're in California. And look at those huge chunky increases. I mean, good Lord, 13%, 16%, 15%. That's just a massive number. I know California has expensive electricity. They're super efficient, so their bills are lower, which is cool. So the total amount of money out of pocket isn't as bad, but nonetheless, their bills just almost doubled. I mean, came really close to doubling. I mean, for San Diego Gas and Electric, their bills doubled. So, your electricity bill doubling is, even if it's low, it's still doubling. I mean, if you had it at $100, now it's $200. That's a new bill in life. So that's something significant. And so that's what Energy Toolbase really wanted to do. They wanted to
Did they talk about any other markets? Because the cost of energy has gone up a lot here in the Midwest too in the last couple of years. I don't know what percent.
Now, this document was focused on California. I actually asked them if they could integrate a tool like this into their software so that we developers could click a button, see what historical numbers were, and then put that number. Across the nation, energy did increase. It increased at a speed greater than inflation. I'm sure we could find out from the EIA electricity price increase USA 2020 to present, and we could find it out.
Well, shout out to ETB. I love their platform. Adam Gerz has been on the show. Look forward to seeing Adam in Vegas, hopefully. And they for sure will have a booth at RE Plus. So check out Energy Toolbase. If you're a CNI solar developer, you certainly want to know about Energy Toolbase if you don't already, for analyzing the ROI of solar. It integrates with Helioscope very nicely, which I love, right? It brings in all the components. And so it's a super efficient tool for running cash flows and generating proposals. Very nice proposals. It's not the easiest tool to learn, I have to say. The learning curve is steep, but once you get it, it's fast. and for the most part, they have all the utilities, all the rates, integrated. And
That's
It
their killer feature.
took them a while. Took them a while. They didn't have, for a while. They were just very coastal, and yeah, they had all the California rates because solar's happening in California. Here in the Midwest, we had to have them create our rates pretty much on a per case basis. But now they've caught up and got all the rates dialed in. So that is a key feature.
Their key feature for me is that they have rates for everything. One thing you do have to remember is that they don't have finalized net metering sentences. So you do have to finalize your net metering numbers. They just have your net metering at a default 1-to-1 credit. And so obviously not every place, in fact, most places aren't a 1-to-1 credit.
Right.
So that, but otherwise I like the tool. I use it regularly. I can blast out a proposal in 30 minutes, that plus helioscope, and boom, done. Proposal out. So it's great piece of software. But with California, I mean, man, and one thing to note that I wrote about in the article, in a lot of other places, the price of electricity has now started to come down, because what drove a lot of this increase was the price of natural gas going from $2 per million BTUs to $10 because of the war in Ukraine. And now it's back to $2 again. So Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, all of these places have lowered their price of electricity. And I definitely haven't seen it in these rates, this research on California yet. So hopefully they get a little bit of help there at some point from the dropping prices.
Well, you found an awesome photo of a sailing, I don't know what kind of ship that is.
It's real. I promise you it's real.
Ocean Wings. I will get this on screen. But yeah, do you know what that is?
It's a boat.
Without seeing it, I'm going to guess catamaran maybe because it's flat.
No.
Oh wow, what the heck?
Yes, exactly. Okay. It's a ship. It's moving from Africa to Europe, or sorry, not Africa, French Guiana, which is northern South America. It's called the Ariana 6, and let's see what it's actually shipping. It's for rockets, I believe. The Ariana 6 is a European expendable launch system. Nope, that's something else.
I hope those aren't rockets.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that large scale shipping is finding wind to be economical as an augmentation, right? You're still going to need a regular diesel or whatever they're burning, bunker oil, engine, but it's a huge energy savings if you can tap into all that wind energy, and it looks like they're doing that with these wings.
So the ship is named.
It makes me think about modern sailboats, which also have these kind of, very, very wing-like sails. They're no longer just cloth. They're actually a rigid structure in, I think, super high-end sailing sailboats. But I can fantasize about having something like that on my sailboat someday.
So the ship is customized to carry large, fragile loads and navigate shallow ports. Specifically, the shallow port in French Guiana, which is where the Ariana 6 rocket launcher will lift off from. So this ship is custom designed to be able to carry rockets from Europe to French Guiana, which is on the equator and a very strategic, strong place to launch rockets from. So it's a boat rocket ship. How's that for you? Using sails, which is the most futuristic thing we do as humans, flying to space. We're using some of the oldest shipping technology, wind, to move it across the ocean, which is kind of cool. Just a neat idea. So I need one of those.
Yeah, I would argue that wind is probably by far and away the oldest renewable energy. Humans have been using wind for millennia, and water,
and solar. Listen, the Greeks were building solar heated homes
Yeah.
way back when. They came up with the idea of having a long overhang so that in the summertime when the sun was over, it would be blocked. And then in the wintertime, when the sun comes in sideways, it'll warm the house. And they also knew to put the living spaces in the northern area so they would stay cool and be hidden from the sun, and the open group spaces in the southern area of the house so that those would be sun-kissed. And they stored food strategically. They had other things in the sun. So solar's been around as a heating tool, obviously not for electricity, for quite a while.
So Google has this platform, and it's well known, right? Like I'm
Project
curious.
Sunroof.
Yeah, Project Sunroof. And what is the news though, that they're opening this up to other developers, or how is this going to help the cost of solar come down?
So Google has a database of pretty much all the buildings in the United States. And they also have satellites going over them, taking pictures at all kinds of interesting angles. And the satellites and the images via the software tool Project Sunroof let you see how much solar can be developed on a building. Then they have, and by the way, let's see if we can find the demo. There's a neat little demo that they're going to have a link to somewhere. But the demo's kind of neat where you can roll out
The solar
the
API?
modules. Maybe. That may take you straight to the API, may take you to the demo. Let's see if we can get to the demo. You're still on the prior window. You may have launched the API window in the background.
Well, that's not very interesting. Whatever that, if you can find a link, go ahead and share it.
All right, I'll share it in the room. So the purpose of the API is that now instead of Google having access to all of this data only, they're going to give people like me and you and key programmers. And so what I'm expecting is that it's about $200 a month per some number of requests. But the tool will allow you to say build your own software tool and build your own piece that's going to let you figure out how much solar will be on a roof. And let me share my screen now. And if you can figure it out automatically on a national basis, what I'm thinking is that you're going to be able to build automated databases, which will let you design solar quicker, better, just in different ways. And so I'm really interested in seeing how that's going to work.
So my understanding is they take LiDAR data, right? They take this high resolution imagery, which shows how much exposure any given rooftop gets,
Right.
And you see that in the images, lights up as yellow if it's south facing, for example, and then you get this heat map, so you can very easily know where there's good solar roofs. But what you're talking about is something very different, I guess, where you're now going to be able to kind of mass generate a database of here's the buildings that and how much you could put on them, because there's also the energy data, right? Is it somehow bringing the two together?
Not that I know of. I don't know about any electricity demand on the lower side. Yeah, but here's what I'm doing right now. You can see me moving this little panel count button on the bottom, and you can see the modules.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but look over here in the top left. If you see the panel count, the yearly energy, the sunshine, as that moves, the output moves. So it's like, hey, customer, looking at your bills, what was your use? Oh, 12,568. Oh, well, here, let me get 33 panels on your roof. Oh, you think you're going to add a heat pump? Well, we know that heat pumps use 4,000, so let's get that up to 16. All right. Oh, you're doing an EV? Well, we're going to need another 4 kW, so let me just do about 8 more modules. All right, there we go. Now we're good. This is the design that fits. And you can just wiggle this little thing back and forth, which is cool.
That is very cool.
Then, of course, if we do something neat, like we build a database of all of the commercial rooftops that surround one substation. I'm going to go then knock on every one of them. I'm going to have a proposal. I'm going to have a number. I'm going to have design. And I'm going to say, hey, customer, I came to you because solar can fit on your roof. Came to you because your substation has space. I'm gonna knock on every door, and I want to be able to buy these proposals for $10 a piece or something. I don't know, $5 a piece, something like that. And I'll make the proposal, something. But Helioscope, these companies, the big companies, Aurora, the people who have the database knowledge, the AI knowledge, they're going to take this database, they're going to plug it into their existing software, and they're going to figure out how to make Google's thing output a bunch of buildings, and then their software automatically do a solar design. And then maybe Energy Toolbase will call up Aurora or Helioscope, and they'll do a financial model. And then they're going to output a PDF, and somebody's going to become a billionaire because of that model. And that's just, Aurora and Helioscope already have financial models integrated, so they don't need Energy Toolbase. So they'll just buy this data, pour it into their software.
So this is really a financial play by Google, really, to monetize this platform that they've had. I mean, you've had public access to the imagery, and it didn't cover every city, but it covered many cities.
They did
major metros.
It's a new revenue stream for Google, essentially. I know Jigar Shah had commented yesterday on LinkedIn about the potential, approach for C&I buildings. And I know there's one company that I've looked at over the past couple of years. You guys didn't mention it. It's called Station A.
Yeah.
And they have a similar product. And I've looked at their model and their demo. They've demoed it to me before in the past. And it's interesting. I wonder if they're going to jump in on their Google's API too, as well, like Aurora and Energy Toolbase and a few others. So it'll be interesting to see them get involved.
Google suggested $100 million a year of revenue from this in a CNBC article I read on it. So it's not chump change.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yep. Helioscope, Helioscope or somebody needs to integrate it into a tool for me so that I can just go click, 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 click.
Right.
Click.
Yeah. If you were Helioscope, why wouldn't you just subscribe and make that tool part of the platform, right?
Right. It's an API. It's an open platform API. So that's what it's intended to do, is to integrate with an existing database.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no strings attached. Like if you subscribe, then you can do anything you want.
There's a long document that's like 47
I read
pages.
the fine print.
Yeah, none of us are going to read it. We're just going to click accept and continue on. At least that's what I'm going to do.
All right.
I don't have an AI that I can just point at my things and go, okay, computer, read this, please, because that's the way it has to. I want an AI that will read all the documents I sign, because that's really important.
So we have to be selective about what we cover here, gents. We've just got, basically 10, 12 minutes left. But do you want to talk about that electric autonomy story, John, or?
I want to do two of them. First, I want to do the one that you're looking at, the battery, and then I want to do the picture that's right after it, because that picture was kind of neat. So let's talk about the 3.7 million mile battery, not the 1 million mile battery, Tim. I don't know if anybody remembers the headline from a while ago, but there's a research facility. That's what this article's about. But there's a research facility in Canada, the Don Group. Their last name is Don. That's the head researcher. And Tesla has put a massive amount of money into them to advance battery cells. And they actually show a picture of a battery cell in the article. And that, not that one, that's further down, but that battery cell apparently is the 3 million mile battery. And the reason it was a big headline is because for a while we were thinking batteries are going to get replaced in cars. They're going to hit 80% right there. That's it right there. That's a 3 million mile battery. And what we initially were thinking in the world is that cars would get their batteries replaced at 80% after, say, 150, 200,000 miles, 100,000 miles. But first off, it turns out batteries are lasting a lot longer. My car has had zero degradation so far. It's at 25,000 miles. My Tesla at 35 had minimal degradation. And I read online that there's plenty of Teslas at 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 miles that are at 90%. So there's that. Then a couple years ago, and maybe this technology is already in the batteries, this person, or not this gentleman here, but the Dawn facility, they came out and said, that they had a battery that they believed could last 1,000,000 miles with minimal degradation. That's really huge. After some more testing, after some more work, after some more refining, they're now up to 6 million kilometers, which is 3.7 million miles for a car battery, which tells us, Timothy and Chris, that we will not be selling our EVs because of their batteries. We'll be selling our cars because they're old and rusted, just like they are now. Old rust buckets full of great batteries that are going to get recycled, that are going to get attached to our houses, that are going to be put into power plants. Jaguar made an announcement this past week that they're building a large-scale energy storage facility from old car batteries. It's, Redwood just raised another $1 billion to increase their battery recycling. So I just think it's cool.
Okay, so
3.7 million.
this story in electric autonomy, though, is about a lithium iron phosphate technology or
all kinds of stuff. So it's about the Jeff Dahn Research Group. That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
And they talk about many different things, many different battery types. So the specific battery type, I'm not positive, but it's really about the research group that Tesla's big on, and they talked about the 1,000,000-mile battery. So there's lots that these folks are doing.
And who is Jeff Dahn? Do we know?
Smart guy from Canada. That's all the data I have.
Oh, so is this like that Skunk Works of Tesla's?
Yes. Except we all know about them, but yes.
Yeah.
So, and it was neat. There was as the reporters were talking, they said there's this one room that has a bunch of boxes, and in each box they have written on the side of the box, they have a chemistry, and they said we're not allowed to take pictures of this room because all these chemistries are important, the mixtures, and we don't want anybody to know the mixtures. So it's a Skunk Works of sorts. So kind of cool.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. Very cool.
3 million-mile battery, man. We could go to the moon. I don't know about the moon. Maybe. How far away is the moon? How far away is the moon?
Got to build a road first.
It's only
3 million miles. How many miles?
It's only 238. We can go to the moon like 15 times. Tim, you ready?
238,000 miles?
238. That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's much closer than you thought.
Who knew?
I'm that much smarter today. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
And Tim.
Live knowledge being gained.
There you go.
Yeah. So Jeffrey Dahn, if you ever get a chance to hang out with him, drink beers, ask him some cool questions, see some battery stuff. Hey Chris, you ever see what a wind turbine blade looks like when it gets struck by lightning multiple times?
No, I've seen them catch on fire, but I've never seen them get struck by lightning. Any video footage of that?
Ooh,
that sounds interesting.
That's kind of gnarly.
Yeah, Tim's about to share it with us. Kind of neat.
I hope I don't get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Where did this take place?
Quick aside, I have a friend who saw somebody get struck by lightning on a sailboat as he was sailing into harbor in a storm, and he was just looking across the way, like 100 yards away, saw somebody get hit and killed. It lifted the guy off the boat like 10 feet when he got struck. This happened many years ago, but anyway, so watch out for lightning. I don't know if I can find this. Is this on LinkedIn? Yeah.
Yeah, is it not loading? Yeah,
there we go.
Pop up. All right.
Oh, wow.
So that's what a turbine looks like. A turbine blade looks like when it gets struck by lightning.
Multiple times, apparently. Multiple times. So yeah, this is a tech. Actually, I found the tech directly, and I was scrolling through the tech's
I always
LinkedIn
wondered,
profile.
how do they protect the blades from lightning?
They don't.
They don't?
They get struck. I mean, I'm sure they're grounded. I'm sure they have antennas or
lightning
rods. Yeah, on the turbines. All that stuff exists. But if this thing's way up there. Now the positive is that it's made out of fiberglass, so maybe it's not exactly collecting a charge, but it's spinning through the air at really high speeds on those tips, hundreds of miles an hour. So there's different physics that occur at that. So whether or not this thing can charge itself to get a zap is kind of neat. But well, there you go. Lightning get and that'll buff out. Not really.
Get some Bondo on it. A little bit of Bondo,
Bondo.
you're good to go. Where did that
So,
happen in Europe? I don't recognize the background as being somewhere in North America, but it could be, I guess.
Raphael, I have a link to it. Let me find the original link and see where the gentleman is located that's doing the work. Here we go. It's
Yeah, hard to know.
Control C.
Yeah,
Dunk, dunk.
interesting.
There he goes. He's a repairer. And where is Raphael located? Brazil.
Okay.
So I suspect it's in Brazil.
Good call. Good call, Chris.
Yep.
I would agree. The landscape looked a little different than here in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Hey,
sure.
so
For sure.
we don't have to bring it up, but I would like to mention, since this is a tech show, hey everybody, SpaceX is officially profitable in the first quarter
Wow.
of 2023. That was the next article I had. So they had, for the first time, just a little bit of profit. Apparently, let's see, profits of 55 million on revenue of 1.5 billion. So not a lot of profit, but that speaks well for us having low Earth orbit satellite telephony and data. We still could have a massive collision of all these low Earth orbit satellites and, have all kinds
Yeah, we
of
were
gear
talking about
raining
that
down.
last week. The satellite that was launched to catch debris was hit by debris.
Yes. Jeez.
And we also talked about how prolific SpaceX has become in terms of launching. I can't remember what the stat was, but they've launched dozens and dozens of rockets already this year. Several a
How
month, right?
many
They're on pace for
rockets
several a month.
SpaceX launched in 23? They have launched 60, 56 Falcon 9s, 3 heavies, and that one Starship. That I guess we could call that a launch. Definitely got into the air, without a doubt. Definitely launched.
And a lot of what they launch is Starlink satellites, and I'm a Starlink customer. I don't use it regularly, but when I do use it, it works pretty well. I have to say, I'm a happy Starlink customer, and it's nice to have mobile satellite internet when you're on the road. So, kudos to SpaceX. It's always controversial talking about Elon Musk. Anything Elon is like a lightning rod now, right? People have turned on Elon. Even my tech bro buddies have turned on Elon. I'm still a fan because his mission in life is to go to Mars and set up a permanent colony there. He wants to die on Mars. I as I said last week, John, I want Elon to go to Mars. I think he might be happier there. And we might be happier with him there. But he's truly just trying to make enough money to go to Mars, which is super expensive. When you do that math, which I have not done, it's trillions and trillions and trillions, and many lives lost. Right? That's the bitter pill. Many people are going to die going to Mars. First, we're going to die going to the moon, though. Apparently, right? We're really we're in a moon race.
Nobody's gonna die going to the moon. We got that down.
Well,
We
heck,
can go.
heck,
go to there
we
as
are
a
crashing
vacation.
spacecraft into the moon. The Japanese just crashed one of their
Nope.
landers.
Russians. The Russians crashed it. I thought it was the Russians.
I think both had crashes.
Well, the Indians landed a robot that rolled
The
off.
Indians had a successful landing.
Yeah.
This
I mean,
last week.
we circle the moon on vacation these days. I don't think anybody's dying going to the moon anymore, unless
We circle the moon on vacation. Who's doing
yeah,
that?
SpaceX. We go to the International Space Station.
Not on vacation, not yet. SpaceX is
Oh,
trying to launch a lunar trip, but
launch. Oh, is it not happened yet?
no,
All right.
it hasn't
All
happened.
right.
Humans have not gone back to the moon since the Apollo program.
It's true. That is true.
Which is kind of bizarre because that was 50 years ago.
Yeah, but if it's not needed, I mean,
well, I think it speaks to how expensive it is.
It's true. It's definitely very expensive. So, all right, Tim.
We got to wrap it up. We will have a show next week, but then we will be dark because we'll be at RE Plus. I mean, we're going to be doing a bunch of recording, but I don't think I'm going to have internet, so no promises for a live show. But we'll see you guys there. And in the meanwhile, how can our listeners find you, Chris Lettman?
Yeah, just go to LinkedIn. Chris Lettman. I'm out there. CL Green Energy Consulting, and please connect with me if you've got anything going on in the panel side of business or project financing, C&I, utility scale, DG, community solar, all that good stuff. Stuff that Mr. John Weaver's involved in, and that's how he and I first connected, and it's been flourishing ever since.
Very good. And Mr. Commercial Solar Guy, what's the 411 on how to find you?
508-499-9-SUN. That's our main number. CommercialSolarGuy.com. That's our website. Got to contact us for them. I'm on Twitter a whole bunch. Ignore the stupid things I say. Appreciate the nice, smart things I say. And then LinkedIn, of course. Solar in Mass on Twitter. John Fitzgerald Weaver on LinkedIn. And Tim, where do people find you?
I am found at CleanPowerHour.com. Give us a rating and a review on Apple and Spotify. Tell your friends about the show. Check out our YouTube channel. We have a robust YouTube channel. We're dropping 2 videos a week there. Subscribe to the channel and come visit me in booth 2269 at Sands Level 2 at RE Plus. And with that, I'll say, let's grow solar and storage. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you next week.